All right, guys, I'm out here today, and this video has no point other than to get out here and knock the dust off of this guy. This is the KelTec RDB, and I know that a lot of people have some pretty negative things to say about the KelTecs, and for the most part, I'm going to say that's probably warranted. I mean, when you look at their lineup, a lot of their guns are more like gimmick type guns, and they kind of have a history of not being the most reliable. I think though this gun, the RDB, is quite a bit different from a lot of the other offerings that KelTec has. Before we get into that though, let's go ahead, let's feed the YouTube algorithm. You guys know what time it is. I need you to hit all the buttons down below, the like, the subscribe, the share, all that stuff. Drop a comment in there. Let me know, what do you think of KelTec and really bullpup rifles in general? Is a bullpup something you want to add to your collection? Yes? No? Why? Let me know. Now, you guys know that YouTube is incredibly oppressive when it comes to 2A content. So every time that you interact down below, every interaction that goes into a video helps fight against the algorithm. If you're watching on Rumble, Rumble's not a lot better. I mean, Rumble's never made me take a video down, but they don't promote content that isn't made by one of the small handful of creators that they have signed multi-million-dollar contracts with. Obviously, I'm not one of those, which is fine. But every time that you hit those buttons, every time you interact, it helps out the channel. And really, it helps out the 2A community in general. So I appreciate you guys for that. Let's go ahead and let's get started with this gun. Bullpups are kind of weird. You know, a lot of companies are making bullpup rifles. I don't have a standard length AR to compare this with out here with me today, but it is such a compact package because of that bullpup mechanism. Everything is moved to the rear, which kind of helps it be shorter and a little bit more maneuverable. This, of course, is essentially a bullpup AR if you want to simplify it. It does take your standard Pmags. You can use the metal ones. You can use the plastic Pmags. You can use basically any of the mags that are out there. I've used quite a few different brands on this gun, and I've never had any issues with reliability when it comes to the mags at all. Actually, when it comes down to it, this gun hasn't had any problems with reliability, period. Which, let's be honest, is a little bit strange for a KelTec. You know, when you look at their, like the PMR 30, don't get me started on that. If you buy one of those, chances are it's probably not going to work. That's not the case with this gun. I know a few people that have these, and generally they run really well. This, of course, is one of their, I don't know what you want to call it, first generation of the RDB. They have a newer one that's out right now that has kind of a different handguard style on it, but this one's fairly old. It's kind of a, I don't know, kind of poverty build, if you will. The KelTec rifles are generally pretty cheap, and of course I do have the SIG Romeo 5 on here, and those things are dirt cheap. I really like this gun. Now, it's a little weird. The weight, the balance of it is a little strange. You don't get a lot of that weight up front like you would with a standard AR. You don't get a lot of length. This thing will fit in smaller rifle cases if you are talking about, you know, close quarters type scenarios. You're going to be able to duck in and around corners with this a lot better than you will a standard length AR. I actually have, I think, a 10.5-inch AR pistol at home, and I don't know, it's real close to the same length as this overall, but I think this does hold a couple of advantages. So as far as, you know, accuracy goes, it is going to be a lot more accurate at distances than your standard, you know, 10.5-inch AR-15 pistol. It's also not going to be as loud as your AR-15 pistol because it has that longer barrel. One of the cool features about the RDB is that it actually ejects the shells from the back here. So I can be out here target shooting, having a good time, and then when I go to pick up my brass, I'm actually standing in a pile right here. It's all nice and easy. to collect. I don't have, you know, a big widespread pile of brass out here that I have to walk around and pick up. Really, if I wanted to, I could probably take my brass bucket, sit it right down here in front of me, and probably the majority of it would go into the bucket. Had I not blown through all the ammo that I brought with me already today, I probably should have tried that. The RDB has a adjustable gas system, so if you go ahead and suppress this gun, you can make adjustments here to your gas rate to go ahead and get better cycling with or without the suppressor. All around, I think that it's a pretty usable firearm. I think it's got a lot of positives to it. You, of course, have your rail on top. You've got another one on bottom. You know, the handguard is plastic, the rail is plastic, so I guess maybe that's a disadvantage. I know that some companies are selling aluminum handguards for these guns. I haven't looked into it for this one, but I know that they are out there. One of the things that is classically terrible when it comes to bullpup rifles is the trigger. Now, you guys know I'm pretty critical about triggers when it comes to my pistols. Rifles can be, you know, the trigger can be very important on those as well. And because of the way that the mechanics of a bullpup rifle work, usually the triggers are super stiff, gritty. They are not very reliable as far as their pull weight. Sometimes they may be, you know, 3 pounds. Sometimes they may be 5 or 7. Most of the bullpup rifles that I've shot in the past, you never really know what's going to happen with that trigger until you pull it. This guy here, though, I have found to be pretty smooth, pretty consistent. Let's go ahead and just give it a quick feel. Yeah, it's not bad. You know, the return isn't horrible. It's not a really long trigger, and the pull is fairly smooth for being a bullpup. You know, you really have to temper your expectations when it comes to, you know, a gun that's this style. But like I said, it's not terrible. Now, I know that, you know, not terrible isn't exactly like a screaming recommendation for a firearm, but when it comes to bullpup rifles, it's actually pretty good. I've definitely shot much worse over the last however many years that I've been shooting guns. When it comes to a gun that is this price range, I don't think that you can necessarily go wrong with one of these KelTecs. I know that Springfield has the Hellion out. There's so many bullpup rifles that take Pmags. It's really hard to decide which one to throw your money at. For me, though, I really feel like this is the one thing that KelTec has done that really kind of knocks it out of the park. If I didn't have this one in my collection and I were looking for a bullpup rifle, this would be the one that I buy. Maybe the newer version, of course, but you really can't beat it for the price. Is this something that I'm gonna use as a grab and go if shit hits the fan? You know, probably not. I've got a couple of other options that I think are better, but it is a fun gun to shoot. It's cool having something like this in my collection. I'm a collector after all. I love buying guns and just stacking them up and adding to the collection. But as far as this thing goes, so far it has been super reliable. It is crazy accurate for what it is. These things are a great price, and even though, you know, most of the body of this thing is plastic, it's actually pretty well built. So when it comes to bullpups, if you have the opportunity to check out one of these KelTec RDBs, definitely take a look. They have this is 5.56 and 223. The other one that they have is 308, and that one is the RFB, I believe. It's this one's big brother. That one's pretty cool too. Unfortunately, 308 ammo is just so expensive. Not that 5.56 isn't, but this guy right here, I definitely recommend taking a look at this if you can get your hands on one. That's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll be back real soon with more content just for you.